fishing news is brought to you by Interlux Marine Paint, Maxima Fishing Line, and Okuma.
Hey there, Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine with this week's web video fishing forecast for New England. Well, there was a noticeable increase in offshore reports and catches this past week. From the canyons to the Cape, there was catches of bluefin, yellowfin, bigeyes, marlin, mahi, wahoo, and swords all over the place. They really seem to increase the feed the last week or so. And to start things off this week, I'm going to begin with a little update from the Tri-State Canyon Shootout presented by J&B Tackle. Based out of Block Island, this is one of the premier offshore tournaments in the region, and this year 80 teams comprised of 245 anglers are fishing head-to-head. As of the time of the video right now, some really impressive fish have already been weighed in, with the biggest, a 260-pound bigeye, going to the team at Castafari. They also another bigeye landed, 215-pounder for the Speculator team, and a bunch of really nice yellowfin, wahoo, and mahi have made it back to the dock as well. Now the tournament concludes this Friday, so I'll have a full recap online this coming weekend at thefisherman.com. Alright, moving on into the reports. We're going to start off in Connecticut, where the Connecticut Charter and Party Boat Association partnered up with the Channel 3 Kids Camp, sending 200 people fishing on 20 local boats this past weekend. They targeted all sort of species inside Long Island Sound. I got word of some great catches of scup, sea bass, fluke, stripers, and bluefish made by the kids. That's an awesome deal by those guys. Congrats to all the kids that got out. Hopefully you got some new Fisherman subscribers in the future. I also heard from Captain Bob Allen, who sails out of Clinton, Connecticut. And he took a run this past week out to the fishtails to troll for tuna, and he had an unexpected bite when he hooked into a 437-pound blue marlin. Now, unfortunately, about 2 hours into the fight, the fish expired and they had to harvest it, and they waded it in back at Star Island back on Long Island. It measured 112 inches from lower jaw to fork, and if they hadn't run into a little bit of engine trouble on the way back and perhaps got to dock a little sooner, might have set the new record for Connecticut state fish. So that's an awesome catch. Congrats, guys. Okay, moving on over into Rhode Island. There was an excellent tuna bite last week out around the dump, with really most every boat that I heard of who made the run coming back with some bluefin steaks. Captain Brian, a big game sport fishing Rhode Island, made 3 trips for tuna and got his 3 fish each trip, with several more being tagged and released. Also heard from Captain Tony of Booked Off Charters. Now, he ran out for tuna as well twice last week, bagged his 3 fish per outing, and on one of the rides back, his charter wanted to stop off at Cox's for some cod, so they took a quick stop, found cooperative fish, and added a solid dozen market-sized fish to the box. I've been hearing, especially from Tony, a few other guys heading over there at Cox's, whether they're coming back in from tuna fishing or going out there in the first place. Been some pretty good cod action going on. I know the Francis fleet also announced that they're going to have a special trip going on in a couple of weeks for cod out there as well. So go ahead and check out their reports this week. They got all the details to sign up for the special trip. And then up in Massachusetts, I told you there was a lot of offshore stuff going on, so continuing with the tuna bite at the dump, the guys from the Goose Hummock Shop got word of the action and made a steam to the south from the Cape twice last week. Now, in one trip, they went 7 for 8 on bluefin, and the other, they went 4 for 7, all on 50-inch class fish. And then one of the boats that they spoke to was able to get an impressive 14 bluefin boat side. I'm not sure if they went, how many others they might have raised or dropped along the way, but that is an awesome score. It seems like trolling Carlson Splashers and Green Machines was the best bet down around there, so it's a really good bite going on. And continuing with the tuna up off of Chatham, we're starting to hear of some fish showing up out there. I know one of the guys from the Goose went out, got I think it was a 400-pounder, but he said he literally saw hundreds of tuna boiling on bait, whales, everything else. So, you know, just in time, that bite is really starting to come back around. Out east of Chatham, they had a nice early bite right at the beginning of the commercial season, beginning of June there. They had some good fish, everything looked positive, and then they just kind of shut off. But word is, it's coming back around, especially with those fish moving up from the dump. We might just have a really awesome next couple of weeks up there. And lastly, there have been schools of stripers running the canal for the last week or so. Mix of fish, been hearing some small fish, teens to 20s, and then you'll get a school roll through with 30s and maybe even a 40-pounder. Sounds like there's some good mackerel running through right now, so that's what the fish are really keyed in on. And Red Top Sporting Goods, they were saying they've had a handful of 40-plus pound fish weighed in the last couple of days, so finally got a good bite going up there in the canal. I know for a lot of my canal buddies, it's been kind of tough this year. They've had some good selective bites here and there, but it has not by any means been that so-called easy fishing on the canal that people have come to expect the last couple of years. All right, well, there you have it. I'm Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, wishing you tight lines if you head out onto the water this weekend.
The fishing news is brought to you by Interlux Marine Paint, Maxima Fishing Line, and Okuma.